My name is Rhapsody, and we're back on that Ascension grind here with the Defect. Alright, let's change this opening relic unless we get a better option. Oh, 7 max HP to choose a rare card. Come on. Hyper Beam, Hyper Beam, Hyper Beam. Reboot's amazing, but if we get a Hyper Beam super early, we can just go, okay, well now we don't want orbs, so Zap and Dual Cast suddenly become basically dead cards. Because we will have so little focus, like dual casting a lightning orb after we've played single hyper beam. That is just one hyper beam will give us 4 damage, and the passive effect of a lightning orb will be 0. So they're actually like really garbage cards now. So I can happily remove them from my deck rather than begrudgingly remove them. Okay, I say that, and yet I don't really ever remove Zap. I quite often, at the very least, remove Dual Cast. Zap's just not an often remove for me. So, Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam. What am I going to want to do? I mean, if it's a Hyper Beam deck, I'm going to want Vulnerability, right? And the Vulnerability is basically only offered to me in this deck by Beam Cell. Yeah, okay. Capacitor Scrape, Dual-Headed, Cool-Headed, rather. Tempest, Blizzard, Deep Breath, Master of Strategy. I'm tempted to take the Deep Breath, just as a wee bit of draw. But also, that Dual Cast is going to be a dead card if I draw it ever after the Hyper Beam, right? So, roughly... Well, okay, it's not roughly half the time. I understand that in a deck of 12 cards, I'm drawing hands of 5, so it's likely that I draw them at the same time, which is a thing that I'm ignoring the possibility of for the sake of simplifying this reasoning. You can't always consider all factors, right? You do have to try and simplify, and a lot of the times that does mean you lose nuance. But a lot of the time when I draw Dual Cast, in the first 2 hands, it's going to be bad. And then after that, it's definitely going to be bad because I will have played Hyper Beam. So Dual Cast goes. Cool. Upgrade 2 cards. If this gets Hyper Beam and Beam Cell, I'm going to go mad. Hyper Beam and Defend. I'm actually quite happy it hit a Defend as well. I'm not going to lose the 17 HP here. I'm actually going to take the max HP because this gives me the option to try and go for 2 elites here if I desperately want to. Pretty good Hyper Beam. Regen Potion. Okay, now we can probably go for those elites especially. Sweeping Beam versus Tempest versus Barrage. No, definitely not Tempest nor Barrage, right? We're a low focus deck. Sweeping Beam though. AoE plus draw a card. No. So do I go for 2 red? I mean, there's 2 rests over this side as well. There's just more question marks here. I'm going to go for more elites. Well, at least we're very likely here, as we ended up getting, to get Beam Cell in the same hand as our Hyper Beam. So the Hyper Beam just did a bunch of extra damage for us. And there we go again. We do need to upgrade the Beam Cell. Or... Hand Nib! Every 10th attack you play deal double damage. And Conserve Battery Melter and double energy. Probably not. Right, I'm looking at Melter here. But at the same rate, I'm thinking, okay, but Beam Cell, Hyper Beam. I just need to get to those more commonly. Rebound is actually a card I would pretty highly consider in this deck. Just so that I can set up a Hyper Beam the next turn. So we're not going to take any of those. What was I about to talk about? There was a topic I was about to bring up. Oh, gosh. I've completely spaced on it. Damn it. Oh, right, of course. The 6 levels of Ascension. Elites spawn more often, normal enemies are deadlier, elites are deadlier, bosses are deadlier, heal less after boss battles, and start each run damaged. So that's why we started with 58, I think, out of 65. 65? 68. It was 58 out of 68 because we took 7 max HP damage so that we could pick up the other thing. We'll just go Zap, double defend here. Hyper Beam plus a single attack will clear. Never mind, I forgot that Hyper Beam is 32, not 36. Oh well. That's still a pretty good clear. Dreamcatcher, whenever you rest, you may add a card to your deck. Oh, I hate that relic. And regen potion as well. White noise is really difficult to turn down. If I'm ever going to turn it down, it would be in this deck, wouldn't it? Because my usual equation is that... Oh god, let's see if I can remember the numbers. Is that there are 16 cards in the... Or rather, 16 powers in the Defect deck. And 2 of them are ridiculous options, being Creative AI and Echo Form. And then 8 of them are pretty reasonable options. I'm not going to list those because... Oh god. Loop... Buffer, defragment, capacitor. Just trust me, all right? And then a couple of them are bad options. Hello World for thin decks is a bad option. Depending on your deck, biased connection might be a bad option. There's a couple other things, right? But the amount of them that are reasonable hits, like good hits, is skewed in a deck that is focused around having no focus. Because in this deck, capacitor is going to be garbage. In this deck, so is the defragment, so is bias connection. And then on top of all of that, when Creative AI gives me any of those, I'm going to want that less. Loop is garbage for me right now. Those kinds of things, right? So I think white noise is actually significantly less powerful in this deck. A hologram that could pull something back is a little more interesting, because I could use hologram to pull back like a beam cell, or it would cost a lot of energy to be able to pull back a hyper beam in the turn that I play it, but maybe the turn after. I think I take a hologram here. Gives me a little more control of my hand. Ooh, whetstone. If that hit... Oh wait, is there anything for it to hit? No, there isn't. Okay. I already upgraded mine. Here we are going to smith the hologram. Play this one defensively, because next turn I can just murder. The early game is going to be pretty easy with this. It's after that we really need to worry about. And yes, I am saying that pretentiously just to annoy people. That's... It's my raison d'etre. Annoying people. Alright, here we go. Another brutal murder. Thunderstrike, we're not going to be channeling that many. And we're also not going to have a thick deck, so we're not going to take strike. Alright. Take 4 damage this turn, but then we kill the next turn. I mean, this is a really good opening so far. Self-repair. We're actually just going to take self-repair because it is going to be 7 HP each combat for us, basically. We will find a way to play it. So I basically got to consider, do I play regen potion in this fight? I think I do. Yeah. Especially because I already have a full complement of potions. Okay. I really want to play self-repair. So I'm not going to wake you up this turn. I'll try and wake you up next turn. I'm basically just hoping for a really good draw here. Ooh, that's not a good draw. That's not the draw that I wanted to open the fight on, let's say that much. So I can beam cell, hologram back the beam cell, play the beam cell again. Get a hell of a lot of vulnerability out there. Yeah, that worked out pretty well. Okay, bronze scales. Whenever you take damage, deal 3 back, as well as a skill potion. Rip and tear, axe kick, steam. Definitely not axe kick. Rip and tear. Probably not necessary. Steam. Sure. Alright. Here again, we're going to smith. I'm going to upgrade the self-repair. So now it's effectively like our Burning Blood, although I have to draw a card and I have to expend an energy, so it's definitely not as good as Burning Blood. The only reason I would play self-repair here is to prevent myself from drawing it, right? Yeah. I actually don't want to split the enemy this turn. I could have generated another lightning orb. It's not going to make a difference, though. Oh. Boy, howdy. This is not how I wanted that to go down. Well, we're going to take damage here, but yeah, Beam Cell and then Hyper Beam Strike. The fight suddenly becomes ridiculously easy, but we did just lose like a large amount of our, possible score multiplier. Okay, it was a stupid move to split them instead of just killing the backliner there. I thought it was going to be cool and fun, but it actually could have murdered me. Energy Potion I'm going to keep. Skill Potion I'm going to drop for the Entropic Brew. The Entropic Brew is ridiculously powerful. Machine Learning is probably one of the powers that I'm pretty happy to see here, in fact. An increased cycle is going to give us much more consistency on drawing Beam Cell and Hyper Beam in the same hand, or, Beam Cell and Hologram, or having Hologram at the right time to draw Hyper Beam. We'll take a Machine Learning here. And definitely just transform a bunch of our cards. Actually, like, I really want the extra energy. Yeah, I do. I want it pretty bad. Okay, thankfully this floor we don't have the champion, so I don't need to start crying yet. Yet, at least. Okay, there's our Hyper Beam. I want a Hyper Beam... Actually gonna use an Energy Potion here. We'll Hyper Beam, self-repair, defend, defend, defend. Try and get out of this fight looking reasonable. Okay. Could be a lot worse off. See, Rebound is the one I was going to consider, right? Do I take it now? I do. Okay. So basically, I should use this turn to try and set you all to an HP value where I can destroy you. Because no weakness comes in this turn. So as soon as I draw Hyper Beam, we win. Red Mask. Oh, I didn't even look in that hand. That hand might have had self-repair, and I should have played that first. That's just dumb. I'll keep a lookout for that. Red Mask. At the start of each combat, apply 1 weak to all enemies, as well as Sunder, Rebound, and Jax. I mean, we're pretty much just focused around playing Hyper Beam, and Hyper Beam, like, 2 extra strength on Hyper Beam isn't really that impactful. In fact, lowering my cycle so that I can get 2 extra strength to take 32 to 34 is not that great. Extra energy on the first turn is pretty much always amazing. So I'm almost certainly taking that. I want to take a card removal as well. And will do. Let's get that zap out of there. A lot of how aggressive I'm being right now... A lot of how aggressive I'm being right now is because I have this regen potion and then the Entropic Brew to refill my hand. So I know that I can be pretty aggressive. Like, I can't be insane, but I can be pretty aggressive. Okay, Liquid Bronze. Sweeping Beam upgraded? I think at that rate, we take it. Especially because we've just now got some AoE fights, because we've got the elites on this floor, and the elites are almost always AoE fights on this floor. I'm going to start the regen potion, but I hope that I'm not here long enough for it to activate a bunch of times. There's our Hyper Beam. Double strike the back line. So next hand, if we have Hologram and Beam Cell, I'll be really happy. We have Hologram and Beam Cell. Then the Hologram will pull back Hyper Beam. Bunch of damage there. I do want to get Self-Repair active, but I also want to get back into my AoE cards. So I'm going to play Machine Learning so that I can try and draw back into those. Because if you summon this turn and then attack... Okay, you didn't attack, but you did summon, and the summoning is annoying. Well, at the very least, I'm going to get the majority of value out of this regen potion. And then self-repair Hyper Beam. Beautiful. Back on full HP. Molten Egg. Whenever you have an attack card to your deck, it is upgraded as well as the Gambler's Brew. The Gambler's Brew is going to be ridiculous. I think I take the second copy of Beam Cell. Oh, also, the Molten Egg is currently bugged. So there was a feature update, which is every time you get a card reward screen, or you go to a shop, if you have the Molten Egg or the Frozen Egg or the Skillful Egg, whatever that's called, Toxic Egg, I believe. I believe. It definitely is, right? It should show the upgraded version, so this should be showing the upgraded version, but it's not. But it would be upgraded if I took it. I could take it just as some weakening. I mean, having some weakness in this deck is not going to be a bad idea. I don't like it, but I'm going to take it. I don't like that I took that there, but I think it's still correct. I'm going to upgrade Machine Learning to be in my opening hand because I can always afford it in my opening hand, courtesy of the Lantern. Okay. Speaking of opening hand, I actually, like, really don't want this hand. So I'm going to Gambler's Brew the entirety of it. There's our Hyper Beam, which is good. I'm actually going to Liquid Bronze Entropic. That's not good. I was hoping for just, like, more offense, effectively, is what I was hoping for, I guess. Okay. This is effectively 10 block, right? Because I'm killing them all in the next hand is the thing. Because the next hand is going to have Sweeping Beam. So I knew they were going to die. Orichalcum, if you end your turn without gaining block, gain 6 block. Okay, now that we have the Orichalcum, the go for the eyes was the correct decision in retrospect. Focus Potion. I actually don't think I'd take that. I think, in fact, having Fairy Bottle and Smoke Bomb is going to be ridiculous. Focus Potion's not going to have almost any effect for us. Anchor, start each combat with 10 block. That's also really handy. We'll Smith here to upgrade the Rebound. Now, I'm not really using the Rebound yet, but just keep an eye on it. I believe that it is going to be quite useful. I could have killed everything that turn if I was, you know, not bad. I'm going to spread out the damage, though. More than half of the time here, this hand gets us the kills. It didn't, but I can defend against 1, 2 of you. And this is actually fine, because it gets me to my self-repair before I kill you. No. All of those are for an orb-based build. And this is nothing if not an... Nothing if not an... Nothing if not a not orbed-based build. Which is a pretty garbage way of phrasing something. This is actually going to be probably our worst fight. I'm actually thinking of hologramming back the Go for the Eyes. Yeah. And then I am going to rebound the Beam Cell. And defend twice. So there's our Hyper Beam and the Beam Cell. Playing the defend is just a dumb idea, right? Yeah. Playing the defend is a dumb idea because it would have defended me for less than the Orichalcum and it would have prevented the Orichalcum from triggering. And then murder. Get my 10 back. Emotion Ship? does nothing. At the start of your turn, if you took any damage last turn, trigger the passive ability of all your orbs. So the only orb that actually performs anything for me in this entire build is the Plasma Orb, and that's because the Plasma Orb is unaffected by focus. And if the emotion chip triggered, it would give me an extra energy from the Plasma Orb. So if we can get some Plasma Orbs in this build somehow, I would be quite appreciative. None of that will do it. I don't really want to put anything back on top of my deck right now. So I'm gonna normal strike, rebound. It's quite likely to do tail whip first. Yeah, this is tail whip. So if I pull something out of discard, it's gonna pull out for its current cost. Okay. So I can beam cell, hologram out a rebound, and then just play that for as much damage as I can. Unfortunately, the hologram did give me some block, which prevented my Orichalcum from triggering. But there's our Hyper Beam, which will deal double damage this turn. But the thing is, I don't want to kill with the Hyper Beam right now because I want to get as many charges on my pen nib as is humanly possible. So I'm going to hit with everything else first, then kill with the Hyper Beam. And that's just because now I end the fight and I have 3 charges on my pen nib rather than having 0 charges on my pen nib. Defrag, capacitor, and lock on. Again, all reasonable things. Not for this build, though. So this is interesting. There was a conversation about this, I believe, on the 2nd episode yesterday. Which is, I believe, my first attempt at Ascension 6. And it was about rebound and scrape and the order in which the rebound effect occurs. Now, the interesting part is that if you rebound FTL, I know for a fact, and have shown throughout the course of this series already, that the rebound's effect to place the next card played on top of the deck will occur before the draw from FTL, which means you can rebound FTL, then draw the FTL and play that. However, I don't think it does that with other draw cards. Let's run a test. Rebound Sweeping Beam. Sweeping Beam finishes first. That's an inconsistency that is, frankly, actually a little frustrating. Because it makes the order in which those occur really unintuitive. Okay, I'm gonna hologram to bring back the Sweeping Beam again. Oh, this is going perfectly. Got my Hyper Beam. Should play couple attacks first. In fact, I should actually just not kill with the Hyper Beam if I can avoid it. Yeah, so that I can get more charges on pen nib. Auto shields is actually... No, but auto shields for us, it reads 5 block, right? Doesn't it? Does it? See, I think it reads 5 block because we've got Orichalcum, and it definitely can't be played in the first turn because of the anchor, right? But the reason it wouldn't read 5 block is because if I use hologram, I'm gaining 3. So if I have auto shields in the hand as well as hologram, I can auto shields first. How often is that gonna happen? I think rarely enough that I don't do it. But I think there's a debate to be had there. Okay, I'm gonna upgrade the strike. Resting for 4 HP is a rough proposition to make. I do want to be able to beam cell this target, or at the very least weaken them, so I'm going to rebound beam cell, draw beam cell to remove all of their artifacting, and this has also gotten me ready for a Hyper Beam that does double damage. Beautiful. So I can clear out all of the chumps at the same time. So now do I take 14 damage and deal 8? Yes. Primarily, actually, because of how close it gets me to my next pen nib. Or, not how close, but, you know, the fact that it gets us towards it. Unfortunately, the enemy's not attacking this turn, so I can't hit them with the hologram. The Go for Eyes, hologram, Go for Eyes. And also, I can't Hyper Beam, hologram, Hyper Beam. Draw back the Gopher Eyes for a wee bit more damage. I basically only played the self-repair there to get that out of my deck. I'm definitely rebounding the Beam Cell. Sweeping Beam, Beam Cell. I can't rely on my next turn's damage. Yep, you take a turn off, and then next turn we're drawing 6 cards. One of those is Hyper Beam, hopefully. There it is. Are we weakened this turn? Why is that only doing 32 to you? What? You're vulnerable. This is 50% more damage. $39. Okay, it did it. At the very least. Huh. There's a block potion. I think the block potion's going to be better than the regen, right? Because I think I can get the... I think I can easily form the full 12 value of the block potion. And that's instantaneous rather than delayed, like the regen potion's 15. Nova. I do play 2 powers, so that would be 8 damage AoE. That's garbage. It can't be Snecko Eye. Right, it can't be Snecko Eye because we have 1 2 cost, and then the rest of them would primarily be made worse by drawing. I think it has to be Cursed Key, and then I just don't open the chest next floor. So this now gives me 5 energy, which gives me the ability to Hyper Beam, Hologram Hyper Beam, which is very good. Very good. Okay, I actually don't want to hunt elites. Like, I think I just want to be as healthy as I can be by the time I get to the boss. So I'm going to take this path, which has an early shop, but it also has 2 late shops. And basically, I'm just treating those shops as free spaces. Okay. I'm going to try and basically equalize their health if I can here. Cool. I'm just waiting for Hyper Beam. This is the Hyper Beam waiting room. All right, well, apparently I'm not waiting for Hyper Beam. Never mind, there it is. So now I want to play as many attacks as I possibly can before the Hyper Beam. Beautiful. Power Potion? Yeah. Nope. All right. There's actually a couple interesting options here. So, interesting option numero uno. Bottled Flame our Hyper Beam, because having a Bottled Flame Hyper Beam means that I'm going to be able to pull it back with the hologram, but it also means that we get to open out on our best foot and take, like, Dramatic Entrance, so then we have 40 damage AoE in our opening hand. Not bad. It's actually the only option. We'll take the Hyper Beam. I'm going to card remove. I'm going to card remove a defend, because a lot of the time we don't even play them when we get them. I don't think I'm going to take the Dramatic Entrance, though. Sure, lose another defend. I'm more than pleased to do that. Oh, it's also worth noting that in our opening turn, between between the Anchor giving us 10 block and the Red Mask giving 1 weaken to all of my enemies, we're quite likely to be able to play Hyper Beam and no defensive cards, and feel pretty good about that. Gambler's Brew. Could be super powerful, but I'm playing with the worst case condition in mind here. Madness. This is a problem. Because locking up my opening hand by taking a Writhe is going to be really, really annoying. And I do want to remove another defend. Because this is just a race right now. Energy isn't our problem, so the madnesses are actually basically... Like, I can consider the madnesses basically as clumsy. Or like slime. Because the energy discount they're going to give me isn't going to be super substantial. I'm going to take the Writhe. I'm going to remove it at a shop. I'm going to upgrade this strike because I'm going to remove that defend because I've got 2 shops left, and between the 2 shops and the money that I get from this elite, I should be fine. Hyper Beam, Hologram, Hyper Beam. Now the holograms are actually going to have a real tough time taking out this this head. The primary reasoning behind that is because unless you are playing a lot of cards a turn, it's really difficult to deal that much damage to the head. Okay, Rebound, Beam Cell, Triple Strike. Because I want to get the Beam Cell back on top of the deck. Maybe I should have saved my pen nib. Maybe that's the case. All right, here I'm going to hologram the Rebound. And then I'll rebound the Beam Cell. Should have played Machine Learning before I did any of that. And this is just so that I can play a bunch of attacks this turn. Because if I can play 4 attacks this turn, which I can't, beautiful. All right, hologram in my next hand. Let's go. There it is. We'll hologram back the Hyper Beam. We're no longer weakened. We Hyper Beam for 105 damage there, which is a fair chunk. Oh, boy. Boy, howdy. Well, at the very least, we can rest at our campsites now. Bag of Preparation at the start of each combat. Draw 2 additional cards. Double Legend for stack. No. Bag. The bag is... Bag of Marbles. I have to. I have to. I have to. I have to. Our opening hand is going to have 32, 32, 16, 48. 48 damage AoE. If that wasn't the focus potion, I would actually be way more impressed. So my next space is... It could have money, and then I could go for a card removal in the space afterwards, so... But I'm not going to open that because it's going to give me a curse, which means that the shop is actually useless as well. I played myself there. Funnily enough, Trip would be really good in this deck. I think I'm going to take the Speed Potion. I'm going to take the Swift Potion. I was going to take the Speed Potion for basically in a pinch defense. Second copy of Sweeping Beam is not going to be a great idea. We've just got to start preparing for the final boss, right? Oh, cool. That was a lot of damage. And healed us a hell of a lot as well. Oh, awesome. Self-repair, Beam Cell, Hyper Beam for 96 damage. I mean, that's a fair chunk of change right there. 30 damage this turn. I'm not going to be able to kill this turn, am I? It's extraordinarily unlikely. I would have to somehow play 10 attacks. And with only 2 0-cost attacks, that's just not going to happen. Well, not 10. I would have to play 8. Yeah, that's not happening, especially if I want Hyper Beam to be the one that's affected by it. So I'm definitely going for the eyes here, which is going to take you from 32, 32, quarter, 8, 8, 24. It's going to take you down to 24. Quick maths. Boom. Do I try and play defensive cards? No. No. Okay, if I'm not playing defensive cards, what am I doing? Probably hologramming back my Hyper Beam, actually. And then I can rebound the Hyper Beam to the top of the deck. That's what we're doing. Hologram the Hyper Beam. Go for the eyes. Rebound the Hyper Beam. Realize that I just gave myself block, which was what I was kind of hoping not to do. Oh well. Good. This is what I was hoping for. And that is to say, the... you are actually kidding me, right? Never mind, I still take no damage, right? Because I get 6 block from the Orichalcum. My enemy attacks me once and then dies on the thorns from Bronze Scales. Reinforced Body is actually looking appealing. Just use it to stall for a turn, basically. Yeah. This could be really... I was about to say this could be really good if we get self-repair. Hologram back to defend. And this is because I know that 2 of them were going to survive. And then they die. Regen potion. I can throw the smoke bomb now because I'll never need that. Soothing beams. Okay, cool. 4 HP versus smithing the reinforced body to get 2 extra block, possibly 10 extra block in a single turn. I mean, to me, there's no competition there. This... oh my god, I can play Hyper Beam 3 times this turn. It's Beam Cell Hyper Beam, Hologram Rebound Hyper Beam, and then I set up for a Hyper Beam next turn, right? 2, 2, 2. Yeah, I don't get to play the machine learning this turn, but this is extraordinarily powerful. Awesome. That was really good. It's also worth noting we do have Fairy in the bottle. When you would die, heal to 10% of your max HP instead and discard that potion. That's going to be really handy for us. We have 4 attacks in this hand and we're not weakened and we've got Hyper Beam and the enemy is vulnerable. So this is just going to be so good. I should already be using the regen potion. That's my bad. Okay, so this enemy is going to transform this turn. Which means that... transform, that is to say they're going to purge. So I just wanted to play enough attacks so that I reset the counter there. So this is 32 damage incoming, but with that go for the eyes, it's not going to be. But I am gonna use my Swift Potion here because I do need the draw. So I could actually just straight up protect myself here. I think I do, in fact, as well. So incoming is 9/3, which means that I can actually put Reinforced Body on top of my deck if I want here. So that would be Strike, Rebound, Reinforced Body. Yeah, I can't guarantee that his next turn isn't going to be like another large attack. I think I'm fine with that. And it was another large attack. And I don't have even the card that I wanted, so this is fine. Reinforced Body, and I'm completely defended again. That Reinforced Body and the upgrade for it was just... like, I don't really want to toot my own horn, but... sing it with me. Toot, freaking toot. Hologram? Hologram. Beautiful. So... This is interesting. I'm about to take a lot of damage. And I'm not going to play Go for the Eyes this turn. I'm going to Hologram and then Hyper Beam. But the Fairy in the Bottle will bring me back to life. $14/3. Let's do some quick maths. 14/3 is 30, 42. 9/5 is 45. So we stall this turn with the Reinforced Body. Stall that turn with the Reinforced Body. I am so damn happy I put that in my deck. Holy crumbs. You're doing 38 this turn. I can just hologram back the previous one, but we should have lethal here, right? Yeah, we have lethal. Got him. That is our Ascension 6 complete. And 1,132. I thought it was 1,312, and I was about to go crazy, but that's pretty damn good. We even got Highlander there. Hell yes! That was a very powerful deck. And it was literally all based off of that first pick, right? That was based off of the Now's bonus, where I picked up the thingamabob. You know the thingamabob, the doodad? The Hyper Beam. Having just a strong condition early on, even if it isn't like the strongest win condition that the Defect can have, having a strong condition early on that you can build around to have a consistent deck is so important. Is a lesson that I need to learn going on in these Ascensions. For the moment though, my name has been Rhapsody, the name of the game has been Slay the Spire. Hopefully you've been enjoying yourselves, and hopefully we'll see you next time, Jonathan!